Welcome back to my studio here in the Cheshire countryside in the United Kingdom, in England. I have been working for the last 3 sessions. You may have been following me, I don't know, but if you haven't, you can catch up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. No, not on Instagram. On, do you know, I always mess this bit up. On Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, or on Twitch. All the past videos are on there if you want to catch up. Otherwise, you can just slip in now and see what's going on. I'm working on a painting based on the photograph that you see behind me. If I hide myself, you'll see the photograph. Boom, there I've gone. There it is. It's a photograph of a restaurant on the Rue Saint-Germain in Paris called De Magot. This is the second painting I've done based on photographs I took around this restaurant 7 years ago now, on our honeymoon in Paris back in 2014. So as you can see, this is what interested me. This guy here, the waiter, who is literally waiting. And he's there and he's observing the people sitting at the tables, but nobody is paying any attention, not only to him, but to anybody else. Everybody's engrossed in their own world. This is so 21st century, isn't it? And I thought I just wanted to catch that. And so where are we? Let's have a look. Let's have a look where we are. There we go. That's where we are at the moment. Let me just tilt that up for you so that you get a better angle on it. This is the, it's had 3 sessions on it. This is the 4th session, and hopefully in this session I'm going to bring these 2 people here to life, and if I get time, maybe work on the waiter. Okay, so I'm working in alkyds. I like working in alkyds. I like the consistency of alkyds, and I like the fast drying time that I get with alkyds. They work like oils for as long as I need them to, but after that they dry quickly, and I like that too. I like to be able to say, right, it's dry now, I'll put it in the post, it's yours. Wasting no time. Okay, so let's see what we're doing. I'm working, as I say, with alkyds, and I'm working with liquid as the medium. I have a tablet in front of me with the photograph on, which has only got 17% of power left in it, so let's hope it lasts. I have got another tablet upstairs if this one runs out. Let's plug it in. It doesn't really charge very well. Okay, hopefully it's charging now. Seem to have a straw charging in this room. Right, okay, so here it is, as you can see it there. The chat room is open if you would like to chat. I am happy to chat. I can paint and chat at the same time. And in fact, I enjoy painting and chatting at the same time. So what I've got here is just a few different alkyds in front of me. I have a lamp black. I have a... Sorry, is it lamp black? Let me just check that. Or is it ivory black? No, it's lamp black. I have a lamp black, I have a Prussian blue, I have a burnt umber, I have a burnt sienna, I have a yellow ochre, a tiny touch of alizarin crimson, and white, and that's all that's there. There are 6 colours in white. It's a 7x5 canvas, so it's a little gem. That's what I like to think of it as. So let's see, where shall we go first? Why don't we go for the guy's face? I'm going for the guy's face because it's been irritating me sitting there just drawn out like that, because it looks so horrible. But hopefully we can do something about that. The guy has got a very strong tan, so we want to kind of darkish colour in there to start with. Maybe I think we need to go a bit darker than that actually. Let's take it down a bit more. That's better. I will try as much as possible to work on this rake, but occasionally I am going to have to tilt it like that, which I know isn't as good for you, but I have to be able to see the picture to paint it, and I'm getting a glint. I don't know whether, don't think I used the overhead lights earlier on, but it's gone darker now, so I just need to add that little bit of extra light, otherwise you don't get to see it properly. This is a fairly slow process. I do apologise for those of you who prefer things to go a little bit quicker, but it takes as long as it takes, so I'll darken this down a little bit here. That's the thing, I've got this painting very roughly sketched in, but it is, I have to say, very roughly sketched in. So all the information really is coming straight from the photograph through my eyes and down the brush, so to speak. I hope you're getting enough volume here. I think I probably need to pull the microphone a little bit closer. There we go. I'm working with very small brushes here. Well, very small there. This is a 3, it says 3/0. I'm not quite sure what that means, but they're synthetic. They're not sable or anything like that. But there we go. Let's get the shape of the nose in. It's very interesting because he's got not only has it got his quite a distinct shadow under his nose, and of course we've got his mouth there, but he's also got a soul patch under his lip. Which points downwards, of course. black on this palette here. I need to use my trusty mill grips to get it apart. It's hello David. Yes, Alkids, let me show you. They're made by Winsor & Newton. They've been made for years. I started using them about 30 years ago. They're classed as oil paints, really. They work exactly like oils. But if you've ever used Liquin, which a lot of people have, most people have used Liquin. There's bottle of Liquin there. That's an Alkyd medium. So basically, these paints are the same pigment as you would have in your oil paints, but they are already mixed together with basically a thick equivalent to Liquin. So they work exactly the same as oil paints. The texture is very much the same as oil paints, a little bit buttery, and for a few hours they'll work like oil paints, but once you've left them for a while they'll dry. And so that's the way I like it. I don't like waiting for my paints to dry for hours and hours on, well, days and days on end really with oils. Especially good when you're working with thick impasto. I do quite a lot of knife painting. There's a video on my YouTube channel of me doing a knife painting. I do a lot of knife painting, thick impasto, and using the Alkids, they're dry within a couple of days, whereas the oil paint, if I do them on oils, they literally take weeks, maybe months sometimes to properly dry. So this guy's sunglasses on. Try and narrow down his nose a little bit, that's better. Now I've got the black, it's better. I can get his mouth more defined. Got the soul patch there. I'll put a bit more what's in there. His hair, I don't know why I stopped before, because his hair, he's got quite a lot of good head of hair here, and it's very, very, very dark. It just disappears into the background really. Yeah, did I actually show you the Alkyd? I'm not sure I did actually. There's one. Get the right way up. So they're called Griffin Alkids by Winsor & Newton. And I've got paintings that I did in them 30 years ago, and they are absolutely as good as the day that I painted them. You know, there's no difference between then and now, which is, you know, I think they're going to last a very, very long time. They're very stable. And they have a totally different, much more oil-like consistency, totally different to acrylics, which I don't enjoy at all. That's better. That's been bugging me, that anyway. That's getting a bit better. It's starting to look more like him. Of course, we are limited really here in, oh, that's better, in how how much detail I can get into these faces. They are very, very tiny. We're talking about faces that are less than a centimetre, and I'm working on a canvas that's got a tooth, so there are limits. But so we get the idea of the, that's it. I suppose it's impressionism in a way. It's I'm not going in there for the full detail as much as I am just trying to get a feel for the chap. Well, that actually looks quite a bit like him, actually, I think. Now, I started painting with Alkids a long time ago. I've used oils a lot. I mean, I started out with oils, I think we all do. But I always used to get frustrated by the length of time it would take for the painting to finally dry. And there was always that danger in that time as well that, you know, you'd touch it or somebody else would touch it and you'd smudge your work. And whereas this is, that's better. So you can just about see him there with his sunglasses on. Well, we've got the same pigments mixed up all over the gaff here. We'll go for his hands as well. So it's very interesting, this this particular photograph that I'm working from, because of the 5 people in the picture, there are 5 totally different skin tones, which is quite interesting to work on. A bit darker in there. It's a bit too light at the minute. Getting the dark in there first. I mean, actually the chap's hands are very dark anyway. That's it, and then just occasional little dab of something a bit lighter. Just pick them out. That'll do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the dark areas, the shadow areas. My little roadmap, as I like to call it, I always think of the shadow areas very much, the darkest areas especially, as my roadmap through the painting. Once I put the very darks in, And for the very darks in this particular painting, I'm using black. It gives me a nice contrast. It gives me, I like to think of it as the Manet sort of look. You know, there's a lot of people will say, oh, you should never use black. Oh no, don't use black. Black, always make the darks and everything out of other colours. And yeah, it works, okay. But, I have to admit that I think sometimes black really works. And Manet, if you look at Manet's paintings, Manet used black all the time to great effect, while the other, well, the Impressionists, his friends, you know, Monet and Renoir and all the rest of them, were shooing away from black totally and creating that sort of very sort of pastel-like Impressionist palette that we've got very used to as time has gone by. Manet stuck resolutely to his use of black, and the drama in a lot of his paintings comes directly from that. So, whereas sometimes I will eschew black and mix it from other things, in this particular painting I think it gives a nice contrast. I'm going to change brushes for a minute. Please feel free to ask questions or talk about the weather. Can't talk about Love Island anymore, it finished last week. Not unless you want to talk about what happened at the end of Love Island, which a lot of people seem to want to do. Let's change the picture. Let's put the chat into the window as well. I'll move that over. You can still see what I'm doing. That's better. This brush will do this job better. I think I'm going to have to rush out and get my other tablet in a minute, actually. This one is fading fast. I've got a charger plugged into it, but it doesn't seem to be doing hardly anything at all. I do love these areas at the shadows, what happens in the shadows. The shadows are never totally black. There's always little secrets going on in there, little bits that show up out of nowhere. It's coming. It's coming. A little bit in there. finish working on the guy. Let's get the sort of silver bluey silver of his iPad in. Oh, here we are, talking about silver. I was in the Lady Lever Art Gallery the other day in Port Sunlight on Merseyside in the UK here, and they have some wonderful pre-Raphaelite paintings, and there's a painting in there. I think it was a Millais, John Everett Millais, but it was literally, this woman was wearing a silver dress, and you could go right up to this dress and look at it, the way it was painted, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Just using whites and greys, it shone like silver. I was amazed. If you've never been to the Lady Lever Art Gallery and you are within easy travelling distance of Merseyside, definitely consider giving it a visit, because it is a beautiful little art gallery. I mean, little. It's like a bit like, it's almost the size of a civic art gallery, to be honest. It's a very grand building, and they've got a beautiful collection. I mean, it's not as big as somewhere like the National Gallery, but you know, it's a damn nice collection. A lot of Victorian paintings, a lot of pre-Raphaelites, an absolutely gorgeous John Singer Sargent of a... Don't you ever go to bed? It must be really late in India. Hello, Raj. Whatever time I come on, you're there. I mean, it's not creeping me out, don't worry, but I do wonder... What time is it? 11:45. All right, it's not as bad maybe as I thought. But it's always good to see you. Oh, that's a bit dark. Let's a bit of white over the top. I'm just not bringing that. That's better. That's better. And a little bit of black. Yeah, I must admit I am not. I'm not an early to bed person. I haven't been for years. I'm always awake late. I think a lot of it comes from my early adult life, really, as I worked in the theatre for quite a lot of years, and of course you're working nights all the time. You're working at night, you're working in the evening. When you finish work, you come out, you're not tired still, and you go out somewhere with other people from the theatre or whatever, and it just forms a habit, I think, that's very difficult to get out of. Yeah, indeed. Very much so. Now then, let's add a touch So let's get the colours in on the table here. So lighten it up a little bit. It's quite interesting now, but you can't really. Well, I suppose you can. You can see a corner of it down here, can't you? You can see this. The entire piece of paper that I'm working on down here looks like that now. It's covered in different marks. A lot of them are dry from early sessions, but it's rather different than working on a very clean palette. You can get a bit. I find I can actually get a better judgment on how the pigment is going to work when you actually get it onto the painting. Because of course it's a strange thing. A paint will look one way when you actually look down at the palette, and then you put it on to the painting, and it looks totally different. So that's it on there. I see some painters on online painting, and they're so methodical. They with their mixing and everything, and it's out with the palette knife, and we'll mix 7 different flesh tones, going from this to this, and we'll always it's not ever been a way that I can work. I dab in, I make it the colour that I want it to be. I put it on the painting, I dab a little bit more. It's just the way I'm happy, I suppose. Everybody does it differently. What kind of theatre? I started off in what used to be called over here Variety. I got my very first job in what would have been called a seaside summer show. I went to college and I trained in drama and art, but I left halfway through because I wanted to work in the theatre, and I left and I got a job. Managed to get a job working at a seaside on the south coast of England, called Ilfracombe in Devon, and it was a variety show. It was singers and dancers and comedians and all this sort of thing. And I did that for 5 months, and it was great fun. It really was a lot of fun. 4 different shows that we used to rotate, so that in a fortnight there would be 4 different shows, so you were constantly having to change from one to the other, which was challenging and enjoyable for a young man of my age. 19 I was when I started there as supposed to be assistant stage manager, but there was actually only me, so I was that was quite a shock when I got there. When I was there with I was the sound guy, I was the props man, I was the lighting engineer, I was absolutely everything for these shows, which was very challenging and a great way of learning your trade. But then I worked in what they call repertory theatre, doing plays. And I, over the time I was there, I did all sorts of things. I did plays, I did concerts, I did all sorts of things. Mainly on the technical side, I started in stage management. Tended to stay that side of things. What's this? I think you should have included traditional art and painting tag. Oh, and my tags. I must sort that out. I will sort that out before the next session. Do you know, I thought I had. I must have made a mistake. I thought I actually had put those things in the tags, but obviously I've not. I think probably I meant to and then ended up moving on doing something else. Getting all this set up has been quite a job, really. I got the idea, I thought, okay, I'd like to live stream. But it's a lot trickier than it first appears, I think, when you first start doing it. There's a lot to take into account. And this setup that I've got here is really, well, I was just about to say Heath Robinson. If you don't know who Heath Robinson was, Google him. It's thrown together out of anything that I could get my hands on. And what I did have was quite a few oldish, well, not oldish, but not that old, but no longer used by the family, mobile phones. And so that's what I'm using as cameras. One over my head, attached to a batten of wood across between the two walls of the studio here. And one attached to a mobile phone car mount that's attached to the window that is just behind the monitor that's in front of me. So it really is totally thrown together, but it surprisingly is working quite well. It's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it, isn't it? Okay, let's go back to a thinner brush. Let's try that one. Let's get some pure white. And put in some highlights. Little dabs of white highlights make all the difference, I find. I'll often, when I've done a watercolour, go over right at the very end with a little bit of white and just pop one or two little highlights, and it just brings it to life a little bit more. Of course, Constable is one for that. Right, okay, that is interesting. That's an interesting comment there, Raj. I shall take that into account. You think tags are the way with Twitch? It's every every social media platform has got its own way of doing things. With Facebook, I mean, I've got quite a few followers on Facebook that I've built up over the last few years, so it's not too bad. But the way to actually reach anybody properly on Facebook is through the groups. Whereas Instagram, it all seems to be about hashtags, the same way it is in Twitter. But Twitch then is down to tags rather than hashtags. I mean, are they hashtags? No, they're not, are they? You have to select them, as far as I can see. I don't know. I did have a look at what tags other people were using when I started out, but they didn't seem to be using many tags. I mean, Instagram, you use 30 hashtags every time I do a post. I think I'll work some of the white areas in. Yeah, yes, definitely more like categories. And I think I was working my way through them, and then I just had to move on to something else actually. So I will go back and check on all that. Now, I'm going to work this in a slightly different way. I'm going to put the white in first, which is totally the opposite to the way that I've been doing a lot of it. But then I can pop in the bluey grey shadows, which are very subtle, and they will just like have to be worked into the white. Dreamlike, that's interesting. I think it's a way that I don't know whether it will have that dreamlike quality at the end, but I think some of the times it's something to do with the way that it sort of appears as I paint. I like watching it appear too. I find it quite exciting when I start to look and see it's taking shape. Right, let's start to add a touch of blue to areas, just to bring in the shadow areas. I'm just hoping that actually I can get a market for these type of paintings, because these are my favourite types of paintings. This is what I like to paint more than anything. I like to paint exactly this. I like to paint people doing stuff, people in the process of living their lives, really. And I think it's much more interesting to me than I say that I do like painting landscapes as well. I like knife painting landscapes and everything, but these are the biggie for me, the people paintings. Oh, have you had a look at my website? All the Volkswagen paintings are on there. That was a big thing for me a few years ago. I did a lot of Volkswagens. We're going to take a little look and go and have a look at stevebirdartist.co.uk, and they will find all my other works there. The car paintings are enjoyable too. It's a totally different challenge. I think I just got to the point where in the space of about 18 months or so, I had painted so many Beetles and vans and all sorts of things like that, that everything I was painting was Volkswagen related, and I think I just got over Volkswagen and over card, and I was desperately ready to do something different. But hey there, anybody wants me to paint one, I am still up for it. I'm not going to turn down making a buck painting a car. What's the time like? Not bad. I would have liked a couple of hour session on this and hopefully be able to get it finished, but I'm not going to have time to do that because tea will be ready. So I've probably only got an hour in this session. Neat and amazing. Nice choice of words. Needs updating a little bit, to be honest. It's fallen a little bit behind during COVID. Put the chair legging down here. That's it. Yeah, I agree with you. I am totally bloody underrated. How you get rated, I have not got the foggiest idea. I think it's just you keep going, and if you get a bit of luck, you'll start doing something with it. But you're waiting all the time for that stroke of luck, I think. Things just come along and get in the bloody way. I was all geared up before COVID to take some of those paintings that you see right on the front page of my website there, the impasto knife paintings that I love doing, and I've got them off. I'd made frames. I got myself a big table saw, and I'd made all these frames for them and all that sort of thing. And I was all getting geared up to getting a selection together and taking them to a gallery and seeing if I could get them to represent me and all this sort of thing. And the next thing, COVID came along and the gallery's closed. What do you do? What do you do? Oh! Yeah, these things happen. So, all these years on, been painting for many years. All these years I'm still struggling to make ends meet. It's bloody ridiculous. But never mind, this is the way of life, isn't it? But I've got a good feeling about this time. I think this live streaming and all that sort of thing. That allows people to sort of see what I can do, and like you're doing, sort of converse with me and sort of getting to know me a bit as a person, not just a guy who's posting these pictures online and saying, "Oh, please buy one of my pictures for God's sake." People get fed up with that. Questions. Have I got? No, I don't. I think I have. I was asking myself the question: have I got time to put this woman's hair in place? But I don't think I have. I think that's going to have to be it for this session. My tablet in front of me is down to 1%, so it's going to give up the ghost any second. So it's telling me to go and wash the brushes and have some tea. Yep, there it goes, blip blip. I am about to die, says my tablet. Well, oh, one more thing, what's this? There is a face cam. I just haven't got it turned on. Where is it? It's here somewhere. There's overhead. That's text. That's a photo. Is it this one? There I am. There is a face cam down the bottom. I just haven't had it turned on. Some days I've had it turned on. Other days I haven't. I think it all depends. So, in fact, there's the face cam. And I would like to say, I suppose, thank you again for joining me. And there's... no, hold on. I've disappeared again. Where is it? There I am. And I shall be back tomorrow. Do you think it's more relatable if it's on? No. Okay. I shall be back tomorrow to take this a little bit further. There it is at the bottom. As you can see there, you're looking at it back to front because I've got the camera flipped, mirror image on the screen here. But that's not a very good view of it anyway. No, that's a lousy picture of it. It's not a very good camera this front. But that's where it's at. That's where it's at. And I shall be back tomorrow to hopefully finish it all off and let it, and hopefully you will see it in the best part. The best part is the last bit where it's really sort of every little touch makes it a big difference at the last part, and that's when you see it really sort of come together as my mind starts moving all over the picture and going, oh yeah, but that there and all this sort of thing, and we'll have some glazing in there and it'll sort of get a bit brighter and come to life. So thank you very much for joining me. I am off to have my tea and to put this tablet back on charge, and I will see you all tomorrow. Till then, bye bye.